Welcome, Bipolar Winter comrades. We are on a journey to reveal the prophecies of the world's largest and most powerful doomsday cult to usher in the end of all life on Earth. Here, we engage you to help expand the army of responders. We must enlist the intelligence services, military, and media in every country on Earth to thwart this doomsday cult's unfolding plans to execute the world's end. You have reached the podcast of all podcasts.
Today is April 12, 2025. My name is Samuel David Steiner. In 1985, a program was started with the knowledge of most every major leader in the General Conference of the Seventh-day Adventist Church to assassinate my character, to ruin my name and the name of my family and my greater family, and to bring harm to even friends of our family. That assassination attempt was led by Robert Falkenberg, who had been brought out of Latin America to become president of the Carolina Conference. Most people did not realize that he had been brought there primarily to deal with this issue. This issue was such a broad issue until it reached many different areas, so that by the time 1990 rolls around, Robert Falkenberg becomes president of the General Conference of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Something that should have never happened because of aspects of this secret project to assassinate my character that was taking place and hatching all types of different contacts that would lead to Falkenberg and his uncle, Kenneth Emerson, former treasurer of the General Conference, being able to maneuver Falkenberg in as president of the World Church in 1990. My purpose here is to begin a process of regaining and restoring my name, my family name, for not only my sake, but that of my family and my greater family and those who have also suffered because of these actions, secret actions brought behind the scenes by people working for leadership of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. All of this is going to come to light step by step, and I will be demanding restitution for those who have lost, everyone who has lost because of this attempt to assassinate my character, and to force people to be quiet about the secret intentions of a foundation that was founded and started in 1982 in Asheville, North Carolina. That foundation was called the Reebok Research Foundation. And Joseph Battistone, the pastor of the Fletcher Seventh-day Adventist Church, asked me at my first meeting with him if I would begin helping him put together this foundation. At Andrews University, Joseph Battistone had been a teacher of one of my favorite classes. I did well in that class and we worked well together. So we had a friendship that went back years. My father had been the pastor of the Fletcher Seventh-day Adventist Church as I was growing up. And so I knew many of the people in that area, and while visiting a friend, I saw Joseph Battistone's name on the welcome sign to the Fletcher Seventh-day Adventist Church. And I went in to talk to him. And during that first talk, he explained to me that he needed to take a break. He needed a sabbatical. He had left academia because he needed a sabbatical from that and tried pastoring. But the pastoring was also getting to him because he was dealing with issues that he would be sharing with me over the next few months. He said he had been promised a sabbatical if he wanted to start a foundation. And so he was going to begin the foundation called the Reebok Research Foundation and ask for my help. During the next week or two, I began helping him put together, with the help of different attorneys and accountants, the Reebok Research Foundation. And a few months after we had it completed, the board was to meet. And when they came together, there were many people who were retired, names who had been in positions of authority in the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And the advisory board, in fact, was chaired by Robert Pearson, a former president of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, whose sister had been a nanny as I grew up, helping to tutor me and work with me in other ways, along with a few other people in that area. The Reebok Research Foundation was simply to be a foundation that took issues that church leaders were dealing with, that had moral or ethical questions that needed to be dealt with, and to help give them answers on how to steer and compass their way through those storms. But there was an inner, more complex aspect to why the Reebok Research Foundation was being built. And that had to do with helping leaders of the Seventh-day Adventist Church know how to deal over the next 10 years with several issues. One of those issues was they needed to diminish the role of Ellen G. White in order to continue to be respected by Protestants and Catholics and other entities. They needed to stop treating her as if she was a prophetess, a seer, or a revelator. I'm related to Ellen G. White both through my father and through my mother. And as I talked to Joseph Battistone and we discussed how this could be done and why it would be done, it became clear that he was an advocate for this happening. In fact, one of the major advocates, and the leaders of the Seventh-day Adventist Church knew that. This is not only an aspect that has continued to take place without the Reebok Research Foundation's assistance, but there are other aspects we were preparing to work with. That is, leaders of the Seventh-day Adventist Church needed to know how over time they could fade out a teaching called the investigative judgment. They needed to fade it out in a way so that it would be much like the Trinity doctrine, something that over a period of time changed without a lot of conflict or a lot of anxiety among the membership of the church. And so this teaching of 1844 and the investigative judgment called the investigative sanctuary judgment doctrine needed to fade out in a way that would not cause church members to stop paying tithe or leaving the church. There was a third thing that needed to be dealt with. Leaders of the Seventh-day Adventist Church needed a think tank in the Reebok Research Foundation that would help it know how to deal with a very complex issue. On the one hand, the Seventh-day Adventist Church is one of the most anti-United States government organizations on earth. It is also one of the most anti-Catholic and anti-Jewish organizations in the world. It's well educated. It has the second largest chain of hospitals in the world. It has the second largest chain of private schools in the world. And it's a force. It's a force that wants to be seen as a credible corporate entity in today's world among other denominations. And it's very wealthy. And it has connections in government that are very deep. So they needed a think tank that would help them understand how can we continue to ask this government for tens of millions of dollars every year, in every quarter, in grants, in support for our charity, our programs, our support for the social programs worldwide, medical programs. How can we continue to take this money if they find out that we are literally teaching the world now over the internet worldwide that the United States government is in fact the second evil Satan beast in the book of Revelation? That's the teaching of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. They teach that the papacy, the Pope, and the Catholic Church make up the first beast in the book of Revelation. That first great Satan is the papacy. The second great Satan is the United States government, and every Seventh-day Adventist knows it. How in the world do you explain to your membership as a leader of the church why, after World War II, they aided the United States government, this second great evil satanic beast, in developing weapons of mass destruction that could destroy all life on earth by developing biological and chemical weapons through the process of offering 2,300 young military-age men to be guinea pigs in Project Whitecoat at Fort Detrick, Maryland. How could you be a leader secretly having this allegiance to the beast of Revelation? This secret combination where you're saying, give me money and I'll give you guinea pigs that may or may not die while you use them in creating offensive and defensive weapons. Not only did the church have issues in World War II, it had issues in World War I, and it anticipated working with the government in the future. For example, what you've seen in COVID-19, where the church now is trying to explain itself away to thousands of church workers who did not want to be vaccinated by an mRNA vaccination, and had a lot of medical people working to try to help protect them, and why the church refused to allow them to use their own conscience in making a decision whether to take the vaccine or not. So we're living in a world where right now President Trump has been advised by Elon Musk and his team that ADRA should not continue to receive tens of millions of dollars every year, nor any other arm of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, because they are considered to be a left-wing, meaning an anti-United States government organization working against the best interest of who they call the second evil satanic beast in the book of Revelation. Once the Musk team started realizing that this church is playing two sides, one side calling to its members and others around the world to see the United States government as this evil, demonic force that is going to attack the Seventh-day Adventist Church, lead an attack against its members and force them to flee to the mountains to survive. Where you have children being taught that the United States government is going to change laws so that Sunday worship is going to be mandated for Christians and Catholics, and Jews will be provided the right to worship on Saturday but not Seventh-day Adventist, and that maybe Muslims would be given the right to worship on Friday and to have each of them, these different divisions, have their own sacred day each week protected. The children in the Seventh-day Adventist Church are taught that they have to be prepared to be taken to prison, or in some cases even die, rather than to not worship on the Sabbath, when the government tries at some point in the future to use blue laws and greater laws than that to try to force Sunday worship. A lot of people now are seeing this on the horizon and feel that it's coming, and major ministers and major theologians and major church administrators are talking about this openly, and you can see it on social media. You can see it on YouTube. Below, I will give you links to some of these different videos. So not only am I going to be fighting for my own reputation, but I'm going to be fighting for the reputation of the United States government. It has a right not to be labeled the most satanic, evil, second satanic beast in the book of Revelation, while accepting tens of millions of dollars. That is a union of church and state that the Seventh-day Adventist Church has taught should not ever exist. And now it exists more than it ever has. And you've got these young men, these men in suits, who sit around trying to explain what they lead should in fact continue to be given money by the second great beast of the book of Revelation. Someone they teach is going to be demonically evil, satanically evil, when they begin attacking the Seventh-day Adventist Church members worldwide, after they begin attacking here in this nation. So I am going to be working to restore my name and expose the assassination attempt on my character. I'm going to be asking for restoration money for those who even helped in building Reebok Research Foundation and was later told, after they were told they had the church's support, that their losses were going to be ignored. This is an issue that needs to be opened up, completely opened up, not handled by a bunch of operatives paid money, anti-lawyers, anti-Jewish lawyers, anti-this, anti-that, brought in to start championing the cause of the leaders of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, but instead have the sunshine start healing what has happened to so many people. I hope that you will tell your friends and your family to come and watch this video, and to watch step by step as things begin to be laid out and exposed. I hope you'll ask them to comment in the comment section below, and also read below and look at some of the supportive videos that will be linked in the comment section, the memo section below this video. Until next time, thank you for watching.